Hello, YouTube land. Hello, Facebook land. How is everybody doing tonight? Been a while. It's been a minute. Man, it's just been busy. Got Van Dykes in the house on Facebook. What up, Scotty? What we got over on YouTube? Just give me a thumbs up or a yahoo if you can hear me. Get that horn tooting up. Oh. We got a good show for you tonight. I think it's going to be inquisitive. Scotty! What up, buddy? What up, buddy? And over on YouTube then. Hey, Stets! What up, buddy? Stetson over on YouTube. Alright, so this is going to get recorded onto Facebook as well. I'm going to go through a little bit of grading, about grading cards, what we're looking at, what you need to be looking at, kind of what you want to be looking for and everything else as far as getting them slabbed and in cases. Because everybody wants to grade right now. We're seeing the market and these huge dollar amounts on these grades. So everybody wants to grade everything. I wish I could look at everybody's cards that bring them in, but I just don't have enough time in the day. So we're going to do this little Q&A. I don't mind helping if it's a few cards here and there. We just don't have the time to go through boxes and boxes of cards because we have boxes and boxes of cards of our own that we're trying to get through. Hey Bill, how's it going, buddy? So we're going to go through what to look for when you're grading cards and what I see and give you some of the rundown of what PSA looks for, what BGS looks for. We're going to talk a little bit about the differences between BGS, PSA. I think you can almost throw SGC in the middle there now. I'm not huge on SGC. We'll get into that later. But yeah, we can throw those. Those are the three main companies that everybody seems to be using and that everybody, where the market is on that. We're also going to talk about what the market is right now and what it's doing. I mean, this is literally turning into day trading. You could even say hourly trading. It is unbelievable what the sports card market is doing right now. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk about different ways people are collecting. As you can see in front of me here, we have some wrapped baseball card exchange boxes. We have some sealed stuff over here, 1819 Select first off the line. We got Immaculate first off the line. We got first off the line Prism 1920. We're going to talk about different ways. We have some graded cards here. We have some base cards here. We're going to go through it all, and we're going to do this. This is open to question and answers. So if you come up with a question, don't think it's dumb because someone's probably thinking it. Someone else has probably the same question. Just post your question and we'll try to answer it. Now, if you ask me who you should be collecting right now or anything like that, that I cannot and will not answer. We see the crazy prices on Luka Doncic, Zion Williamson, John Morant, LeBron James. It's out there, guys. You always want to try to get in front of the curve, and that's what everybody's trying to do. Who's the next rookie? Who was collecting, who's the kid from the Nets? Michael Porter Jr. Last year, because you're killing it now if you kept his stuff. It's unbelievable the way the market is. So we're going to get into that at the end here. I don't know. I'm going to stay on as long as we need to. As long as people here and still pay attention, we'll and questions are coming in, or I get through my stuff, and we'll just call it a night. So we're going to start off with what this was intended for. The Q&A about what you look at in graded cards. Okay, you have three major players in the graded card market right now. Some people, is there an echo on here? I forgot to check this. Give me 1 second, guys. Hopefully the echo is not. I don't want anybody to have an echo. For whatever reason, I have to do this every time. And that's muted. So, all right. So the echo should be off. you got three major grading companies that are in the market right now. SGC is the one that's kind of been around for a long time, but they have a market share within the vintage older card market. They started to do a little bit of the new stuff, because the only reason, because they've done a lot of new stuff, is because they were still around the 30-day turnaround times. So people were sending their cards for them. They have since they are not even close to being 30 days. They're more like 60 to 90 days on there. So SGC does hold a little bit of market value, but I use them for more vintage stuff. I've actually only had a handful of cards ever graded by them. My first graded card, I thought about this the other day. My first graded card with PSA was back in 1997. It was 23 years ago. My first PSA 10 was a 96 Topps Chrome Keyshawn Johnson base rookie. I got $300 for it on the AOL, old AOL boards. If anybody's around about my age, you know what the AOL boards were. Man, you heard that dial up and you just hoped no one called the house so that it kicked you off. And you were pounding on those AOL message boards, buying and selling cards. Man, those are memories. But anyway, so PSA right now, I talked to a rep out there on Monday. They are at bulk orders. They are at 175 to 185 business days. Guys, that's 9 months. 9 months. Having cards out at PSA. You can obviously pay for quicker turnaround times. Economy's been right around that 3 to 4 month range, and express and regular are even more money, but you get them back way faster. PSA is the only one that charges based on the price of the card. So if you have a $5,000 card, it has to go, I think it's Express, Express. If it's a $3,000 card, it can go regular. If it's anywhere from $100 to $499, it can go economy. Anything under $99 can go bulk orders. They call them value now. But PSA is the only one that does that. BGS still does it per card, but after last week's announcement of their price increases, their 2-day auction or 2-day turnaround times, which are now 5 to 10 days, went from $60 a card up to $125 or $135, one of those two. Everything went up across the board. I had a couple of young kids come in and they were trying to fill out a BGS order, and they looked at the pricing after the insurance and the shipping back and forth, and they just said can't afford it. So grading is very expensive unless you want to wait with PSA and on those small dollar stuff. That's why we always tell people you're trying to get in front of the curve. You're trying to get who's the next guy that's going to jump up to $200, $300, $400. And you want to get those in under your bulk submissions. Yes, they sit there for 9 months. And hopefully that'll get better. They hired 18 people and they're looking to hire more. So hopefully that will get better as the time goes on. But everybody's been sitting around with COVID in the air and looking through their cards and sending them in to get graded. So it's put a real big strain on the grading industry. And they just weren't prepared for it. They weren't. They'll be the first ones to admit it. So can you send a 1K card in bulk? Bill asks, so you cannot send a 1K card in bulk? No, you cannot. You can, and it's going to sit there for 9 months. PSA has the right to go back and adjust your invoice. So if they catch, it has to be egregious. I mean, in that instance, a 1K card trying to get under a $100 bulk order, yeah, they're going to catch that and they're going to slap you on the hands. 1K card is going to cost you $50 just for the grading fees and then your insurance back and forth and insurance and shipping. So Beckett, like I said, Bill, doesn't care about that. They grade per card. They don't care about the price. PSA does care about the price. And the pricing goes, and this is where it gets to be a gray area, after the card is graded. So when I look at modern cards and I send them in, if I don't see anything wrong with them and I think I have a pretty good chance of getting a 10, I still try to get it under a PSA 9 price. So I always look up the PSA 9 prices, and I've never, only a couple times in my whole career of tens of thousands of cards graded have I ever had my invoice adjusted. I try to be pretty honest about it. But no, you cannot send. You can send a 1K card on there, but you're gonna get charged for it on the back end. So they will adjust your invoice. Plus, I'm thinking if you're sending a 1K card in, you're going to want it back quicker, so you're going to want to send it under the regular or express service to get it back faster, because they're moving through those orders faster than the others. Hopefully that answers your question. But that's a great question. Where was I at? Like I said, Beckett does not care about the prices, but their 30-day orders right now are running 14 to 16 weeks. 14 to 16 weeks on Beckett. So they are a little bit quicker than PSA, but this is where it transitions into looking at prices. So you look at what a BGS 9.5 sells for of a certain card and go look at the equivalency of a PSA 10. A PSA right now is outselling BGS even from 10s, PSA 10s to BGS 9.5s. It's night and day. It's huge. They're outselling them. Say you pull as Stetson asking, say you pull a Zion RPA, is it pointless to get it graded? No, it's not pointless. Especially in the National Treasures, we're seeing $90,000 to $100,000 on those RPAs. If you get a BGS 9.5 or a PSA 10 on those, even a PSA 9 or a BGS 9, those cards are very hard to grade, and that card will be way more worth the value-wise than it would be ungraded. In that same instance, and this is where it takes us to the next one, thicker card stocks. So let's look at a National Treasures card. Something that's 100 point or higher. This one is a 130 point. Those cards are harder to grade because how they make that card is they sandwich a bunch of small, thin cards together, and they glue them together, and it creates when they put it together. Look at that corner. You can see it kind of curve over. I wish I could get this a little bit better. Let's try something different here. Okay, you can kind of see it there. You can kind of see how the card corner curves in on the inside of that card. Thicker cards are just harder to grade. They're chipping on them because when they sandwich all those cards together and then they cut them, it creates a lip on the edge, and you got to look at the fronts and the backs of these guys. This is, you look at the back of this George Gervin card, and you can see, look how much white on this border over here versus this one over here. So this card is slightly off-centered just because of that. It's not, and you can see it on the front as well. Look how much white is over here compared to over here. There's way more over here than there is on the other one. And when you're holding the card and you're looking at it, you can definitely see it a little bit more. And that card is off-centered. Now, in the eyes of PSA, they will allow a card that is 60/40 centering and still allow to be a PSA 10. That's per their quote-unquote guidelines. And that works. I don't grade a lot of thicker cards, but when I do, I send them to Beckett. Because, in my mind, if I can get a 9 on the edges or the corners, I still have a chance of getting a 9.5 total grade on the card. Let me repeat that. Most of my thick cards I send to Beckett because they do the 4 gradings: centering, corners, edges, surface. If you get a 9 on one of those 4, you still have a shot to get a 9.5 as an overall grade. Here is case in point. Here is case in point. So here is a 9.5 overall grade. This card is graded a Gem Mint 9.5, but it has a 9 on the corners. But every other subgrade is over a 9. So the overall grade on this card is a Gem Mint 9.5. Beckett is the only one in the industry that shows you the 4 subgrades on there. Now, PSA does not do that. They put a denomination of 1 to 10 on there. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest as Gem Mint. Beckett does do this, and that's why a lot of people do like Beckett. But like I said, their values have not gone up as much as the PSA 10s. So this is why I send thicker cards to Beckett in order to when I know like the corners or the edges might have a little bit of a blemish, but I can still get an overall 9.5. That is still a heck of a card. That's a Kevin Durant National Treasures, numbered out of 25, 15 to 25 on card autograph. That card just looks better in a PSA or a BGS holder to me than it does PSA. Now, when you're looking at a PSA card, they don't grade. There's nothing about the subgrades on here. This is all about just grade 1 through 10. So they put the year and the card on there. They do the number of the card, what it is, and then mint 9, and then the serial number. So if you wanted to look that up, you can. But there's nothing on the subgrades on these cards from PSA. So if you like those subgrades, you definitely want to use Beckett more. It's personal preference. I know we're chasing money and we're trying to do what's best for all of our cards, but it's personal preference when it comes to that. PSA and Beckett are such on an even keel that I can't sway you one way or the other. Yes, do I use PSA more than Beckett? Yes, I do, because I've graded with PSA a lot longer. But like I said, all my thick cards, or most of my thick cards, do go to BGS because I like them. I like their holders for the thicker cards better than PSA, and you have a better shot of getting that BGS 9.5. So there's the kind of rundown on those. And now I'm gonna talk to you about the 4 major parts of grading. And PSA looks at the same things that Beckett does. Beckett just puts them on the label, but PSA looks at the same thing. These are the 4 things you're looking for: centering, corners, edges, and surface. And you have to look at all 4 of those, or else you're gonna miss something. So I'm taking this Revolution Colin Sexton. Now this is a shiny card, and you want the first thing. Let's start off with this. If you can change your lights in your house to where you're looking at your cards to a white light versus those yellow old lights, you will have a heads-up advantage right off the bat. The white lights reflect off these cards 10 times better than a yellow light. That's why the shop lights, when you come in and you sit down and you bring me a stack of cards and I say, you see this blemish? Well, you didn't see that at home because you're looking at a yellow light. And we have white lights in here, and they're LED, and they're bright, and you can see everything, and that's what you want. You want the most light you can see, and a white light is actually better than a yellow light, okay? So when I'm looking at this card, and this one is a shiny one, it's got reflection in it, so I'm taking it in my hands, and I'm looking at the surface, and I'm actually roll the card around so that the light gets it differently. Your eyes will attract to it. And there, I can already see a blemish right here above my finger. That right there knocks the grade down 1. So instead of a 10, it's already a 9. So I'm already saying to myself, can I live with this card coming back a 9? Here's the other caveat, is if you are looking at this card yourself, and now PSA puts it under a huge, like, CSI crime lab microscope, they might see something under there that you cannot see. So you always got to think it's going to come back 1 less grade than you already imagined. So with this little imperfection on the surface, we're already down to a 9. Now if they find something that we can't see, we're down to an 8. Is it worth it to send this card in and to get an 8? No, I'll answer that question right away. It's not. This was another one that I brought in, and for this reason. Now we're going to look at surfaces. You got to look at the surface on the front and the back. And I already knew that this one, see this right where my thumb is, right in front of my thumb, you see that white there? There is a chip on the edge. So now we're down another grade. So now we're down to an 8 because we had a 7 on here, or I'm sorry, a 9 from the front of the card. Now we're down to an 8. And now if they find something wrong with it and it comes back to 7, we're wasting money. This card is not worth it after you add the grading fees on top of that. You'll never get your money back out of it. It's a wasted card. Would not send. Sell raw. Still a great card. Still a great card. Billy Koffler. I have a Dominguez Bowman first autograph. The front looks good, but the back is off-centered from top to bottom. Would that even be worth grading if the back looks more than 40-60 off? Billy, from what I've been told and what I have experienced, is they look at the front for the centering. They do look at the back and take it into consideration, but the front holds more value and more it's more steam than the back does. So if the front looks good, and let me grab a Bowman card. I got one over here. I'll show you what to look for, Billy. Right here. So we got Blake Rutherford. This is a 2020 Bowman card. Let's see if we can get this to right there. Okay. So you see on the bottom where the silver comes down on each side, you can see where it hits on each card, and you can see that this one is pretty nice centered. It's not bad at all. But then right above the silver there, if you look over to the white on this side, outside of the thing that goes around, or the border that goes around the inside of the picture, look at the white from the gray over and from here over. And if that is pretty much even, then yes, I would grade that in a heartbeat. The other thing you have to be careful with, Billy, especially with Bowman Chrome, Prism, Topps Chrome, look at that surface. Any scratches, surface scratches that you see on that card is an imperfection. You can take like your, that's why I wear Under Armour shirts. Sometimes those little defects, you can rub them on the card, your shirt, and that's why the Under Armour ones are so good, is because they're soft and they don't scratch the cards. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I would definitely bring it in. I got some cloths around here. We use a lot of eyeglass cloths, like these little things that, you know, you can wipe. This is an actual Ray-Ban cloth, very soft, very, and you can sit there and you can rub on there. I wouldn't rub on the auto. But I would rub on the card to try to get some of those scratches off, and they do come off. It's not cleaning a card, it's just wiping it down. And we do that to a lot of them because they have dust, they have little pixels on them, and we want to get those off before we send those to grading. Hope that answers your question, Billy. So the other parts of this that we're going to look at is we're going to look at 2 Prism cards, because Prism right now is the king and queen of grading right now. So we have an Anthony Davis and a JaVale Okafor. Now, on the 2019-20 Prisms, I'm looking at the dots on the outside. So I'm looking over here, and I'm looking over here. As we can see, they're supposed to be, come on, focus. There's supposed to be 4 lines of dots. As you can see on the right-hand side on here, there's only 3 lines of dots. On this side, there is 4. This card is off-centered left to right, and I would never send a card like that, because now you're all of a sudden you're down to a 9. Now if they find anything wrong with these around the back or around the front or a surface scratch that we could not see, then all of a sudden we're down to an 8. And we can see one of those scratches. Hopefully I can see that scratch right there. That's a surface issue. That is no bueno when you're trying to grade a card. You want to look for anything like that. I am telling you guys, and I say this to a lot of people, less than 2% of the cards that you pull out of packs are gradable. That's fine, and that's perfectly fine. That's why grading has gotten so popular, because it's very hard to grade cards and to get PSA 10s or BGS 9.5s, and it's difficult. But these raw cards are still valuable. Look at what base LeBron Prisms are still bringing. People don't want to spend, I think they went up to $850 for a PSA 10 base Prism LeBron. they would rather spend $80 to $120 for a raw copy and have that copy in their collection. Some people despise graded cards and will never buy one. But there's some people that want those graded cards in their collection, and so that's why we do it. Now, the Anthony Davis that I'm showing you, now you can see on the right-hand side over here, there's 4 lines of dots. When I say, you guys can see those dots on the side there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here you have 1, 2, 3, 4. This card is almost perfectly centered left to right. You do have to look at the centering up and down, so you want to see the equal amount of purple down here as up here. Below the Lakers, below the wording, so that one's almost dead centered on that one. You can turn around to the back and you can see the gray between there and the gray between there is almost equal. It looks perfect. So this is a card that I would consider sending to Beckett. Well, if it was Zion, we'll put it that way. I'm not sending Anthony Davis base cards yet. Maybe the market will get there someday, but I'm not sending them yet. So if this was a Zion Williamson as far as centering, good. Then you want to take and you want to look and have it flash around and look and see if there's any surface scratches on there. Any of those surface scratches are going to be no bueno. Look at your edges to see if there's any discoloration across the purple or the silver all the way around. If you cannot see anything, you have a candidate to send in for grading. Let's see here. I didn't bring up any Prism cards to grade. I do have some stuff over here to show you. I brought some 2018-19 Prism cards to show people what we look for and what we don't look for. Let's see here. Okay, so the Jaren Jacksons. Look at the one off the left, the one I'm waving up and down. Look at how much black is on the bottom there, on the where it says Grizzlies right below there, versus this one. Now, when you look at the cards off in a distance, the one on the right, this one, the one I'm waving up and down, is better centered than the one on the left. It is off-centered top to bottom, and this one's very noticeable. It's very bad. That one I wouldn't. This one I'm not even considering sending in. It's still a great card, and someone's going to want it in their collection, but this one would be more of a candidate just because of the centering. Now you still got to look at the edges, the corners, and the surface, and make sure that they're all tight and right and ready to go. Same with this Shai Alexander. That card is way off center, top to bottom. You can see it's just it looks odd. Look how much black is down there. Look how much black is up here on top of the prism. It's way off centered, top to bottom. So that's a card that is not a candidate to get graded. I'm going to show you some examples of stuff that I graded. You've seen the Kevin Durant. We're going to go through some BGS stuff. This is my latest BGS order. I just got back this week. This is a few of the cards. The Kevin Durant auto BGS 9.5. I was going to go live, but it's just been a crazy week. Centerpiece of my Bull collection. Yes, I am a believer of Bull. This is a true gem, and when I say true gem, every one of these subgrades is 9.5 or higher, and it's an overall grade of a 9.5. This is a true gem, collegiate flawless, numbered at 25 RPA Bull, and that has a 10 autograph as well. Beckett does grade the autographs on all your autograph cards. You want to make sure that all of the autograph is nice and bold, no streaks through it, and I don't know if I have a copy of something. I don't, but I'll try to get something and post it to show you what the difference is between a 10 autograph and a non-10. Tyler Hero, what is this? Apprentice Ink Gold out of 10 National Treasures. Now this is one that I knew the corner. If I can try to hold it right there, you can see the white on that bottom corner right down in here. I knew that was there, but this is a card numbered out of 10. I was hoping for a 9, and it did come back a 9. I got 10 on the centering. The edges came back a 9, corners came back an 8.5, and the surface came back a 9.5 with an overall grade of a 9. That's still a heck of a card. It's better to have this card graded as a 9 than trying to sell it and someone returning it because it's of the damage on that bottom corner. Nico Mele, true RPA. Centering got a 9, everything else got a 9.5. Overall grade of a 9.5 gem mint with an autograph grade of a 10. Again, this is a thicker card, and that's why I like them in that Beckett case. It just looks a heck of a lot better. Ja Morant. This was the surface got me a little bit on this one. I didn't know why. I still kind of don't know why. But the surface on this one got a 9. Everything else got a 9.5 for an overall grade of a 9.5. This is the Prime Triple Materials out of 25 Ja Morant. This one does not have an autograph, so it does not have an autograph on the back of the card. This is where you get into the big money, huge money. BGS 10 Pristines are not handed out every day at all. A BGS 10 Pristine will outsell a PSA 10 every day of the week. That is tenfold. So the other part of that is you can try for black labels. Where it's gold up here, they call them black label 10s. If every one of the 4 subgrades get a 10, you get a black label 10. Bill, I'll get back to that one here in a second. The corners on this, they gave it a 9.5. If that would have been a 10, that would have been a black label 10 Ken Griffey Jr. That would have been 10x on that card. This is still a huge card as a pristine 10. Numbered at 10 Ken Griffey Jr. autograph. National Treasures. Going back to Bill. Bill asked, what makes a card a true RPA? So as we've seen before, I don't have one. There's horizontal and there's vertical RPAs in National Treasures. We're just going to take National Treasures for a minute. The vertical RPAs are what are called the true RPAs, meaning that's the card that's been around the longest, and that's the one that everybody in their quote unquote guidelines considers the one rookie to have. Now there's other ones that are horizontal. Those are RPAs, but it's not the true rookie RPA, if that makes sense. This is the true. This is the one that everybody in the industry has said this is the true rookie. Now, if it was the horizontal one, everybody say it's an RPA, but it's not the true rookie. You can have multiple RPAs in a product. The one that is considered the true rookie, part of the base set, which this one is because it's card number 135, it's part of the base set. This is the true rook RPA. Does that make sense, Bill? So there are some examples of BGS stuff that I had just gotten back. Any questions so far that we have not gone over? While I take a drink. All right. PSA stuff. I brought up some stuff that I've graded myself. I got some over here. Hold on. Those. The stuff I have up here is stuff that either I've bought or speculated myself on. So we're going to kind of transition into the market as well. We're trying to, when we say we're trying to get ahead of the curve, we're trying to predict who the next guy is going to be. So if you collected Bull up till about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, man, you cashed in if you sold. If you're still a believer, I'm still a believer. I'm still holding on to mine. just because I am. Um, but you want to get ahead of the curve. Michael Porter Jr., if you were collecting him last year, if you were collecting Bull in the beginning part of this year, those are the guys that you want to get ahead of the curve on. And that's what we talk about, cashing in at that right time. So who's the next baseball player? Well, we already know Wander Franco and Jason Dominguez are already really, really high priced, and those are guys you want to. So you don't want to really collect more because in invest can he go even higher? The risk has to be worth the reward. So can you take a guy like Alec Baum from the Phillies, the third overall pick 2 years ago? Can you take Andrew Vaughn? Can you take look at Nick Mandergirl? He just got called up by the White Sox and has been producing, and his cards are on fire. Look at Luis Robert. If you were buying his 18 Bowman firsts, man, you cashed in when the beginning of the season, because those were, I think they were at about $100 for the Bowman Chromes first, and those only sold for $5 to $10 at the beginning of last year. So that's talking about getting ahead of the curve. Tim asks, other than thickness, what other factors do you consider before sending to PSA or BGS? Like I talked before, the thickness is the number one thing. If I see a little tiny blemish and the whole card is still perfect, but there's one little noticeable spot, I will probably tend to send it to BGS over PSA because I'd rather have the chance of trying to get a 9.5 over a PSA 9. BGS 9.5s still sell for a little bit better than PSA 9s. Not by much, but they do. So that's the other part, is trying to decide, can I still get a BGS 9.5 or am I happy getting a PSA 9? So it's one of those two things. The other thing I want to throw out there too, and the stuff that I'm showing you in the grades and whatnot, my situation on what I grade and how I grade it is a lot different than Tim's, than Bill's, than Scott Van Dyke's, than Billy Koffler's. Everybody's situation is different, and it comes around personal preference. At the end of the day, the grade is the grade. No matter who it's graded by, BGS, SGC, PSA, it's kind of personal preference. Or you can look at eBay and see what the market is on a PSA 10, a PSA 9 of a card you're considering grading, or what a BGS 9.5 or BGS 9 is. You guys can look at those, and that can help make you decide. It's all what you feel. Now, there's certain stuff that I'm going to send in that I know I'm going to get a 9 on, and I'm fine with that. Because I have customers that come in and collectors that want 9s of certain cards. I personally like 9s. I think 9s are very undervalued right now. I think that card certain cards of 9s can catch up and go up. And I think they can go up faster than a 10 because you have a bigger audience that can afford it. If that makes sense. So here's one of the cards that I speculated on a while back, was the 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. I bought all 9s. I was not out buying 10s because I didn't want 10s. They're too, in my mind, they were too high compared to what the 9s were selling for. So I went and bought 9s. It's an easier sell for me to collectors. And I think there's more room on the 9s than there was on the 10s. So I went out and I bought these. I did not grade them. I bought them. I bought the 9s. I was trying to get ahead of the curve. I seen McGwire go up. I seen Michael Jordan go up. I seen all the childhood idols from my era. So I went out and I bought PSA 9s of Ken Griffey Jr. Is Bo Jackson the next one? I didn't think so. So I didn't buy Bo Jackson's. But you can see I think it's the 90 score where Bo has the football pads on and the baseball bat around his shoulders. That card in a PSA 10 form is huge. But I think this card, in my mind, is one of the most iconic cards in baseball card history. Everybody knows the 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. And it's unbelievable. And people are still looking for that. And they see it and they giggle because they know that's the first year of Upper Deck baseball cards. It's the first Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. It's considered his best rookie card besides some of the Tiffany's. But it is an unbelievable card. And yes, I went and I bought more than 4 of them. Another one I bought that I should have bought more of was Vince Carter. Has a very, very soft spot for me. He retired this year. Yes, Gary Vanderchuk. You're going to hear that name a lot. Pimped out Vince Carter's name that he was buying and collecting, and that shot the value of these up hugely. He did it the day after I decided to start putting offers in on these cards. So my one and only Vince Carter Topps Chrome rookie card. I couldn't afford any more. I didn't think that the juice was worth the squeeze, so I did not buy any more after he threw out his name. Card that I bought today, OG, original 2012 Panini Prism Kobe Bryant. It's a PSA 9. This card's mint. I don't need a gem mint. This is in my personal collection. I'm going back and buying one of every Kobe Prism card to put in my collection. I'm a huge Lakers fan. RIP, Kobe, love you. But I bought this from Kyle Nordmeyer today. He graded this and it came back a 9, and I bought that from him. That's an OG. If you want to see prices, type in 2012 Panini Prism PSA and look at just the commons, the rookies, anything from that year. OG Prism is through the roof. Here's a card that I personally graded. This is select Ja Morant. This is anything Ja Morant that you can get a 10. Now, if I would have seen something wrong with this card, I would not have sent it in, because raw cards sell for just as good as PSA 9s because it's a brand new card. There was nothing wrong with this card. I sent it in. It got a PSA 10. So now that card went from, say, I'm just throwing numbers out because I haven't really looked at the market. Instead of a $60 raw card, it's probably a $200, $225 regular card. That's kind of the prices that we're seeing on that. So that was a card I sent in. Here's another guy that I sent in that I'm high on. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think this guy can fill up the hoop and he can pull in buckets, and I think he's going to be a long-term process with the Pelicans, and with Zion in the hype. All it takes is one good game on national TV for Nickeil to explode. So this is a fast break hollow. I got this into a break. I looked at it. Everything was fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. Nickeil Alexander, PSA 10. And everybody knows my soft spot with Kobe White. I buy 9s and 10s of Kobe White. I think he is one kid that can explode. Right before COVID, he had 5 consecutive games with 30-plus points. Chicago loves their superstars, a.k.a. Michael Jordan. And I think this kid can be the next one in Chicago. So I'm buying Kobe Whites right now. And they are relatively pretty cheap because they're not playing right now. So he can't do anything to increase his stock right now. I remember playing. Yeah, that's exactly right, Billy. That's exactly right. So I got a pink camo rookie debut or NBA debut PSA 10, and then the Mosaic PSA 9 on that one. So there's a few of the cards that from PSA that I have. If you guys have been in the shop lately, you've seen the couple cabinets downstairs that I have stuff to look at to show. That's kind of the grading card market in a nutshell right there. Just remember, you're looking at your corners, your surface, your edges, and your centering. All 4 of those have to be looked at on that card in order to consider it to be sent in. The older graded card market, I'm talking 50s, 60s, 70s, is a little bit different. You can have a little bit of imperfections because a lot of those cards aren't gem mint. So 7s and 8s of some of those cards are really, really, really good. Kind of like today's modern cards of, Kobe White being a 9 and a 10. That's just because there's not many mint cards of those older ones laying around. So hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit with what's going on with the grading and what to look for before considering a card to be sent in. Like I said, the number one thing, get yourself some white light bulbs. Those things, you can get the white ones that you can put into your chandeliers, and they will help out tremendously. I have I'll show you right over to the side. I have it on right now. I have these makeup lights, and you can change these from yellow or from white to yellow. You can't really see it in there. There's yellow and there's white. You can definitely see the difference in the glow. And I have those on when I'm looking at cards as well, just because it helps out tremendously, guys. I can't stress that enough. Get those white lights, and you'll see a total night and day difference from how you look at cards. So I'm hoping that helps you guys out. If you have any other questions, even through the rest of this video, if you come up with something that you think of, type it in there and I will answer it. But if you have any other questions that you want to ask me just one-on-one, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Let's talk about the market a little bit. Obviously, basketball, can you send in 1950s and 60s in bulk? If they fall under that $100 value, yes, you can, Bill. If they are over the $100 value, and that's where it kind of gets, you got to kind of guess, is this a PSA 6? Is it a PSA 7? And I always try to, I always tell people, err on the side of caution. What's the worst they're going to do? They're going to upcharge you? Big deal. The other thing, though, with the 50s and 60s, here's the PSA that I'm going to put out there. BGS is the low man on the totem pole when it comes to vintage stuff. 50s, 60s, 70s. Do not send it to BGS. They do not hold a whole lot of value. PSA is number 1, SGC is number 2, and BGS is number 3 when it comes to vintage. There's my PSA on that one. Let's talk about the market. Basketball just started up. Hockey just started up. So those two sports and their cards are reflective of that, because they can play now and do something to make their cards better, which makes sense. If they're performing well, the cards go up. If they're not performing well, their cards go down. Are we seeing much go down right now? No, we're not. Because everybody's speculating right now because there's no other sports. Baseball's kind of in that crosshairs. Yes, Luis Robert stuff, Robert, whatever it is now, is on fire. But in the back of our minds, we're saying, is baseball going to be around tomorrow? And that's a very valid question right now. With as many of the people that are coming down with COVID, we don't know what baseball is going to bring. I'll be one that's brutally honest. I have yet to watch a baseball game because I cannot get behind the 16 teams getting into the playoffs. No bueno. That ain't baseball to me, so I ain't watching it. Am I focusing on basketball? Yes, I am, because that's where the volatility of the market is right now, and the cards are going up by the hour. 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I sold 5 PSA 10 2019 base LeBrons. I averaged about $210 to $220 a piece. I looked last night. I was sitting on the deck. I was having a adult beverage and a cigar, unwinding for the night, and I was just looking at the market and looking at eBay. PSA 10 LeBron base prisms were being popped off at $850 last night. Let me repeat that. Base prisms, not silvers, base prisms, PSA 10s were selling at $850 a piece last night. Unbelievable. Those cards would have been in $2 boxes 2-3 years ago. And now we're close to $1,000 in PSA 10 formats. Unbelievable. I can't even wrap my head around what's going on. Basketball is the most volatile and what's going absolutely nuts right now. Baseball's creeping up. Football's starting to gain a lot of speed. 2 weeks ago on a Friday, Lamar Jackson base prisms were at $125. Excuse me. By Monday, they were at $385. So football is creeping up too. Look at Patrick Mahomes. Look at what his optic and his Donruss rated rookies are going for. It is mind-boggling. Tom Brady stuff is starting to see a huge increase. And football is starting to look a lot like quarterbacks. The running backs are getting no love whatsoever in the hobby world for the cards. It's all about the quarterbacks. The receivers don't get a whole lot of love. It's all about... Michael Thomas is one of the best receivers in the NFL. And you look at what his cards sell for, converse to Lamar Jackson, who hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's only played 2 years. Look at what Josh Allen stuff sells for. Look at what Baker Mayfield stuff sells for. Gardner Minshew, Kyler Murray. Uh, you can say Russ Wilson and Tom Brady are on a whole nother level because they have rings, they have everything else. But look at what those guys' stuff compared to the best wide receiver in the game, Michael Thomas. I mean, hands down, he's the best. Look at the best running back, Barkley, Saquon Barkley. He is the best running back in the league, hands down. But his stuff does not sell nearly as well as the quarterback stuff. You find a guy or find your favorite team, and just buy a few. Don't get too invested unless you really really believe in that guy. But find a guy that you like and start trying to predict the market, and that's what you want to do. Um, it's changing every day, every hour, every minute. Someone tweets something, someone does something. Look at Zion. I didn't look at Zion prices today, but I know he had 26 points in 23 minutes or 23 points in 21 minutes. Unbelievable. And I am assuming that his stuff went up again today. It doesn't look like the Pelicans are going to make the playoffs, so we're going to see his stuff probably cool down a little bit during the offseason and during the playoffs because they're going to be following people that are playing well and doing well. And then you'll see a huge spike when it gets closer to restarting the 2020-2021 season for Zion because everybody's just infatuated with him. Who isn't? 285 pounds, 6'10", and can jump out of the gym, and he's fast to the hoop and scores, and he gets his buckets. I wish he could shoot better. I still think that Luka Doncic will win a ring before Zion, which will make his cards more valuable. Or at least it should in the long run. But it takes guys like Gary Vaynerchuk. He has been instrumental in the last 2 years of promoting cards and telling people what he's been buying, and all of a sudden the next day it goes up. Case in point, before the COVID start, he was buying Prism Booker rookies. They went up about $200 in the course of 24 hours. He was buying Kevin Durant Topps PSA rookies. Those went through the roof after he tweeted that and did that. If you just type in on YouTube Gary Vaynerchuk and check out a couple of his videos, he's wildly entertaining and he's really good for the hobby. I'll be one of the first to admit it. And I like what he has to say, and I listen to him a lot. Another guy is a sports card investor. I don't know a whole lot about the guy. I don't even know his name. He has some good insight. He's all about analytics, though. He's all about graphs and all that, and following trends and everything else. But he's another good one to listen to and watch. There's several websites out there that you can subscribe to see what markets are going and trying to predict early. I don't hold a whole lot of stock in them. It is what it is. So, two more says, cracking that select box. I'll take the bucks for $30. I appreciate the offer, but I politely decline. Do anybody have any questions about the market? I mean, I can't predict it, and I can't say what's going to go up and what's going to go down, but I can try to answer if anybody has any questions about the market as well. If not, we're going to go on to like different ways that people are collecting and that we're seeing the way things are shifting. Obviously, this is all about graded cards and grading. People want graded cards into their collection. So that's why the prices of grading cards are going up. As we were saying, Gary Vaynerchuk, sports card investors. We've learned that LeBron James is collecting cards, Jay-Z's collecting cards, Giannis is collecting his own cards. I think there's more people out there collecting cards than we even know. The number one question that I get, Kristaps stuff blow up too. Yeah, I agree. Anybody that's playing right now and playing well, and Kristaps is playing really well. Everybody, the number one question I'm getting now is everybody remembers the market crash in the 2000s, and they're asking, will that happen again? I personally don't think so, and I'm not saying that just because I'm a shop owner and a card collector, but the way that they're making cards now is very limited. Card shops can't just order, and Walmart and Target can't order truckloads and truckloads of cards. Once it's printed, it's done. They're not going back and printing anymore. There's enough cards out in the market because there are more collectors. So do they make more from year to year? I would say there's a pretty good chance, but there's more collectors getting introduced into the industry every year. Look at the National. There's 10,000 more people that attend every year for over the last 5 years. So there's more people that are getting out and collecting cards. So can the industry hold more printing happening? Absolutely it can. And I think it can take a little bit more. And look at the prices of Zions. Sealed boxes. Bill, yes, we're getting to that one. But PSA cards, BGS cards, SGC cards are the number one thing that's selling right now. I'm telling people right now, the top three in the market of the cards right now, basketball cards are number one, soccer cards are number two, and number three is Pokemon. Pokemon cards are number three. The reason I think that Pokemon and I'm going to steal this from Gary Vaynerchuk. He said, "There's not Charizard's not tearing an ACL or spraining an ankle. He ain't sitting out. Pikachu's not sitting out." And guys that are in their 30s and 40s now that started playing Pokemon when it first came out in about 98, 99, right around there, they have expendable income now, and now they want PSA 10s and PSA 9s. Yes, they are grading Pokemon cards. Absolutely, that is happening 110%. And those guys have expendable income, and they want the high grade Charizards, Pikachu's, whatever else. Those are the only two I know. So that's your market: basketball, soccer, Pokemon, and then it goes football, hockey, baseball after that, and it's all relatively close. Just because baseball is last on that list, it's still relatively close. You can even throw wrestling. Gary Vaynerchuk tweeted out that he was buying wrestling cards, and all of a sudden wrestling cards went through the roof. But the other part of this is still collecting your teams, collecting your PSA cards, but this is another one, is collecting sealed boxes. If we've seen anything from the breakers, they are moving through product through this COVID part like nobody's business, and it is driving the prices of wax up. When I say wax, sealed boxes. It's unbelievable what some of these boxes get up to. And there's no end in sight. I think Blowout Cards has 1920 Prism basketball hobby cases for $39,000 right now. $39,000. I think we sold those for $369.99 a box when they first came out. It's unbelievable. My personal stuff, this is something that I collect. I collected a lot of first off the line stuff. This was stuff that you could go onto Panini's website and buy. And they say it's first off the line, so it's first printed, first packaged up, and it usually comes with a special parallel. So this is some of the stuff that I've put away from myself. 1920 first off the line Prism basketball. I think these sell for about $2,500, $2,800 a box right now. I got lucky, and whoever kept these closed got lucky. This is 18-19 Immaculate first off the line. I think these are close to $3,000 a box right now. Luka Doncic rookies in there. 18-19 Select. I think these are about $2,500 a box right now. No joke. I think these Select boxes were $150 if you could get them off any website. So that's some of the stuff that I've put away for myself. As everybody knows, I'm a huge basketball nut, and I love basketball cards. So I have more basketball stuff put away than I do any other sport. Here's one of the other things that is happening too, and this probably hasn't been talked about in North Dakota or the Midwest at all, but it is very, very huge and becoming very, very popular. Now, you see that this is a Panini factory sealed wrapping on here with Panini. It's cellophane sealed up, ready to go. You can't take the cellophane off, or else you lose a ton of the value. You have to keep these in the cellophane if you're going to start collecting boxes or cases, or however you want to do it. You want to keep them as they came. You don't want them open, you don't want anything. That's where you start losing the value, when you start opening some of these, unless you pull that card. Here's the other part of one of them that I wanted to introduce to you guys that I'm starting to get into, is vintage wax. Now you can see that these came from Baseball Card Exchange. They are wrapped. So back in this is a 1982 Donruss baseball box, Cal Ripken's rookie year. These boxes did not come cellophane wrapped back in the day. Steve Hart, the owner of Baseball Card Exchange, looks at all these boxes, inspects all the packs, and puts them in there. And then he puts his seal on there and wraps it just like it would if it came from a factory. So this box is sealed by Baseball Card Exchange and is verified by Steve Hart himself, saying that this box is good to go. There's no funny business with this. So this is a huge part of this. As you can see, it's labeled wax box. Go look at, just take this box for instance, or any box from back in the 70s, 80s, or early 90s. It was around the mid 90s. Now, here's the caveat with this. If the box came cellophaned from the factory, from Topps, Upper Deck, Panini, or anything like that, Steve will not wrap them. They have to be a box that was never factory sealed, and now he's basically factory sealing them. So you want to make sure that these boxes were never sealed by the factory. And there's different levels of these as well. So if you found a case of 1982 Donruss baseball that was sealed, you can send that whole case to him, and he marks it specially. I think it's called FASB or FASB, fresh from case or something like that. Those boxes even sell better than these, just wrapped, that say wax box. If you have that fresh from case insignia on there, they sell for even more. So go on to eBay, type in like 1982 Donruss or 1984 Topps, 1985 Topps baseball wax box, and look at the prices compared to a non-wrapped Baseball Card Exchange versus a Baseball Card Exchange wax box versus a FAS or fresh from case insignia, and you'll see a wide world of difference. Huge. One of the boxes I love to tell people about is 87 Donruss. 87 Donruss baseball. We thought this was junk. I mean, $10, $15 box, 20 at the max, just to have a chance to pull a Bonds rookie. You get these wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange, all of a sudden, just as a regular box, is about 70 bucks. About $70 for this box right now, wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange. If you get the fresh from case one, you're talking close to $100, if not a little bit more. So this is a whole new part of it, especially if you like vintage stuff, to get them wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange. He charges, you have to ship the boxes to him. He inspects every pack. If they are not fresh from case and there is a pack that's opened or anything like that, he'll replace it. He has packs there that he'll sell you. Like this Donruss box that I bought had 3 packs that were cleverly opened and put back in there that would make them look like they were not opened, and he found those, and I had to buy 3 packs to fill that box. He charges, I think it's 8% of the box value, and you can look at the values on the Baseball Card Exchange website. They'll tell you there it's a minimum of $8. So it costs you it'll cost you $8 to wrap a box plus the shipping back and forth. One of the huge ones is this one. This one's going in my personal collection. 89-90 Fleer basketball. Any of that old Fleer basketball is absolutely going through the roof right now. And this is an 89-90 Fleer basketball box. These are just going through the roof because of Jordan stuff. If you get anything above the 88s, the 87s, or 86s, holy, you're talking big, huge money. I have another 84 Topps. I'm going back and I'm going to get every Topps baseball box wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange from the year that I was born. That's just something that I want to do for myself. People collect factory sets or anything like that. But this is another way that the hobby is taking off, is these factory sealed boxes. And the reason why, in my mind, a lot of this has taken off, because Steve has a huge level of respect in our industry, especially when it comes to the vintage stuff. But the breakers, the vintage breakers, will not break a box unless it is wrapped now. And there is another company, RVP, I do believe. They are starting to gain some pretty big clout into the industry as well. I don't know the owner, and I don't know him a whole lot. I was going to try to find him and talk to him during the National. Obviously, that ain't happening right now, as of right now. But I want to do some more digging on the RVP stuff. I think it's RVP. I'm almost positive. But right now, I do a lot of my vintage stuff with Baseball Card Exchange. I got a 86 Fleer. That's just an iconic. The only card in there is what the Canseco rookie. But it's just, I love 86 Fleer. It's just a cool box. One of my first memories of a Puckett card I had was an 86 Fleer Puckett card. 87 Fleer, another iconic Bo Jackson, Barry Bonds rookies in there. I wanted one of those for myself, so I did that. I'm a nostalgic freak when it comes to sports cards. This is an 81 Donruss box. This is the first year of Donruss. So 1981 Donruss. And I'm looking for an 81 Fleer and an 89 Upper Deck as well, because I like that stuff. So just something cool. This is some of the stuff that I pulled out of my personal collection just to show you guys recent stuff that I've done to help you guys understand the industry a little bit more and what we're doing here at Sportscape, and trying to promote cards and keep it fun and having everybody involved with it. That was a little over an hour. Sorry it was long-winded. I'm hoping I got a lot of good information out there for people. If you have any questions on anything that we covered tonight, you can certainly give me a call or stop in and we can talk more about it. I hope you guys feel, and I want this to be known, that I'm trying to help the industry and help you guys collect, and because I'm passionate about cards and sports cards. That's why I did the Sportscape, and to make friendships with all of you. And we've done a really good job here, and we've created a lot of friendships within Sportscape, which is even cooler, and brought collectors together. That touches me, and it makes me feel good. I know we're doing something worthwhile here. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to give me a call, stop in, we can talk more about it one-on-one. Until we have any other questions or the market shifts or does anything else, I will try to get on and talk to you guys about it. We got a big release tomorrow, Topps Chrome Baseball 2020. The retail hit the shelves Tuesday and Wednesday. The Luis Roberts are hitting, base cards are touching 250. Let me repeat that. Luis Robert base cards out of Topps Chrome are reaching 250. So what's his refractors going to hit? What is autographs going to hit? What is everything going to hit? It's unbelievable. That releases tomorrow. Gold Standard Football 2020. I think there's 4 hits per box on the Gold Standard. Maybe it's 5. There'll be another NFL product. I will post all that on there as well. Chronicles Racing. All you racing fans. Chronicles! One of my favorite products of the year comes out. So, Chronicles Racing. I don't know if I'm going to rip any racing. I'm not that gung-ho about Chronicles, but I know there's some racing fans out there that loves Chronicles. So jump on in and get some Chronicles Racing. And that is it for now. So, I appreciate everybody. I will post this up onto the Facebook page so people can watch it. Like I said, if you have any questions, hey Sam, how's it going? You can watch the video back over and look at some stuff. If you have any questions, like I said, feel free to give me a holler. I will be here tomorrow. National Baseball Card Day on Saturday. Limit of 8 packs per person, just so everybody gets a chance to get some. Pete Alonso is the extra base card that you get for National Baseball Card Day on Saturday. So come in and get your Topps product and get some extra packs of National Baseball Card Day. So looking forward to that one as well. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. noon to 4 on Saturday. So come on in and see us for National Baseball Card Day. See that Robert I pulled? I did not, Sam. Which one? I did not. Did you post it on the Facebook page, maybe? No? I did not see. Topps Chrome Pink Refractor. Oh, so you got the retail hit up there too. Yeah, I don't understand why the retail hit already, but hobby is out tomorrow. Oh, a messenger. Okay, I'll check it out. I will check it out. But all right, everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you learned something. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Happy collecting. Happy Topps Chrome release day tomorrow. Hope to see everybody this weekend for National Baseball Card Day as well. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate everything that you guys do for me in the Sports Cave. Would not do it without you. Peace.